Let us enter together into spiritual contemplation of justice as a public expression of love, and reflect on how each of us may choose to make that ideal manifest.
We have come into this room of hope, where our hearts and minds are open to the future. We have come into this room of justice, where we set aside our fear to name freely every oppression. We have come into this room of love, where we know that no lives are insignificant. We have come into this room of song, where we unite our voices in the somber and the beautiful melodies of life.
We have a special moment of recognition now for a high school youth who is graduating. We want to recognize that you are crossing a threshold as you walk across that stage to receive your high school diploma. And as you now get ready to move from high school to college, you begin the journey of young adulthood. During your time here, you grew up. You have practiced discerning and identifying the values you hold as sacred and learned to act based on these values. And we, your faith community, trust you and want to offer our blessings as you travel forward in life from this safe harbor into the great vast ocean. You have given and received many gifts within this wonderful community. Take these gifts with you, and may you easily find and create community such as this wherever life takes you. Community where you can continue to learn and grow with others, to be challenged and to challenge others to be your best self, to remember and remind others about what is most important and precious in this life, and to work together with others to make the world a better place. As you step into this new chapter, may you have the courage to think, speak, and act aligned with your conscience and inner knowing, to resist injustice, and to carry with you the love and wisdom from your years, including your time here in the congregation. And so we send you forth now with the prayers and blessings of this community, knowing that you bring the heart of Unitarian Universalism with you. May love carry you forward, and may you carry love forward. This is a very happy day. We have another celebration and recognition, and this is the time of year where we like to acknowledge all of our faith development teachers and program leaders and offer a free lunch in addition. So we have had over 30 people, I counted, volunteering to help, and that's only in the leadership and assisting of the leadership of our faith development programs this past year, for all ages and stages. And this does not include our partnerships with Tai Chi and the drumming circle and so forth. Much of our programming necessarily takes place outside of Sunday morning, and so this is a moment to recognize and appreciate all of the program leaders and to be celebrating that in worship together. Quick round of applause to start us off. My goodness. We don't even fit up here. This is so wonderful. This has been a busy year, and I will just name in some broad strokes. And then when we finish, please grab your gift as you sit back down. So for our Sunday morning faith development program, which has continued to have some great interest in theater this year, we've had a host of these volunteers step forward to help lead our holiday nativity pageant. Our nursery has expanded this year, and so they have stepped up to help lead our nursery, as well as our many holidays and special celebrations. They've offered an ongoing high school youth group with service and learning projects, outings throughout the year, Dungeons and Dragons role-playing group, a popular one for sure. They've offered fellowship and community building through programs such as our Thursday night cooking group. They've offered programs of service, working with our partners such as My Brother's Table, Spur, LifeBridge, and North Shore Pride, as well as programs of learning with the Swampscott Conservancy. They've offered consistent and ongoing faith development for adults through programs such as our Wisdom Circle, our Dialogue Group, and our Saturday Craft Group. And I would like to hold up, especially this year, as the staff member who is typically devoted to faith development programming in the church. And my focus has been more on worship and other ministerial duties during Reverend Vicky's sabbatical. You all have stepped up and continued offering so much vibrant programming this year for this congregation and beyond for the larger North Shore community. So thank you, and thanks to all who have volunteered in assisting with teaching and assisting with our program leadership for cultivating such a vibrant and nurturing faith environment this year. You've demonstrated commitment to living out the ministry of this church together, and as you'll see with your gift, you are all superheroes, which is the theme of the gift.
Anne Frank lived in a terrible time and did not survive it. But in spite of that, I believe she really was an optimist. In spite of everything, I still believe that people are really good at heart. I simply can't build up my hopes on a foundation consisting of confusion, misery, and death. I see the world gradually being turned into a wilderness. I hear the ever-approaching thunder, which will destroy us too. I can feel the suffering of millions, and yet, if I look up into the heavens, I think that it will come out all right, that this cruelty will end, and that peace and tranquility will return again. In the meantime, I must uphold my ideals, for perhaps the time will come when I shall be able to carry them out.
Lift up your voice, you will be heard. Now is the time for change. We give voices to those who can't be heard. We are voices of freedom. We give voices to those who can't be heard. We are voices of freedom. Now is the time. Hope finds a way. Now is the time for change. Lift up your voice. You will be heard. Now is the time for change. Now is the time. Hope finds a way. Now is the time for change. Lift up your voice. You will be heard. Now is the time for change.
Good morning. We, the people, together in community, have the power to make all our voices heard. And I thank you, choir, for expressing that so beautifully today. Here's some of the lyrics I heard. We will join our voices for all to hear. We give our voices to those who can't be heard. We are the voices of freedom. Now is the time for change. We are living in challenging times, but we, the people, can travel together the path for changes we believe in. There will be small and big victories, There will be setbacks. How do we sustain ourselves? Rebecca Solnit, activist and author of many books, including Hope in the Dark, sees hope as an embrace of the unknown. She writes, "We may be living through times of unprecedented change, but in uncertainty lies the power to influence the future. Now is not the time to despair, but to act." Hope locates itself in the premises that we don't know what will happen, and that in that spaciousness of uncertainty is room to act. When you recognize uncertainty, you recognize that you may be able to influence the outcomes. You alone or in concert with a few dozen or several million others. Hope is the embrace of the unknown and the unknowable. Solnit also wants us to remember our victories, for they are examples of positive change, of popular power, evidence that we can do it, and we have done it. She notes news cycles tend to suggest that change happens in small, sudden bursts, or not at all, but sometimes it takes decades. For instance, the struggle to get women the vote took nearly 3/4 of a century. A little over 100 years ago, the 19th Amendment passed. I never think about that. I take my right to vote for granted. It could be that my great-grandmothers fought for this. My grandmother gained the right to vote when she was in her 20s. I will appreciate my right to vote in every election. Another victory is the end of chattel slavery here in the United States, nearly 250 years after it was introduced in 1619 in Jamestown, Virginia. How did people sustain hope? Frederick Douglass, once enslaved, was an active abolitionist and never lost hope even after setbacks. With the Dred Scott decision in 1857, the Supreme Court determined that enslaved and free African Americans descended from enslaved people were not citizens of the United States. Here is Douglass's response in a speech shortly after the ruling. This infamous decision of the slaveholding wing of the Supreme Court maintains that slaves are within contemplation of the Constitution of the United States. Property. That slaves are property in the same sense that horses, sheep, and swine are property. Where did he find hope? He then writes, "You will readily ask me how I am affected by this devilish decision, this judicial incarnation of wolfishness. My answer is, and no thanks to the slaveholding wing of the Supreme Court, my hopes were never brighter than now. I have no fear that this national conscience will be put to sleep by such an open, glaring, and scandalous tissue of lies as that decision is, and has been, over and over, shown to be." And we did act. I believe if we lived by our UU principles, we have the foundation of doing the right thing for all. Do we want to say we believe in the principles but hesitate to act? Act we must, but we do not have to act alone. Last month, we called a social justice team meeting, and 17 people attended, most new to the team. We, the people, have power. Our first and sixth principles are good guides. I saw an essay on the UUA website that the writer, a UU minister from Texas, said friends of other faiths didn't understand our principles. They were too lofty and not specific. She challenged her readers to add to the end of the first principle the phrase, "beginning in our home or congregation." The inherent worth and dignity of every person beginning in my home. It transforms the lofty goal into a personal, everyday practice. Although, admittedly, sometimes a challenge. I think about having teenagers years ago. The sixth principle is ambitious, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. But adding in our congregations sheds a new light on a congregational dynamics that may help foster curious conversations. We have power in community, strength in numbers, and living our principles daily helps us to lead our community to more meaningful work and lasting victories. Now is the time for justice. What acts can we take? Social justice team is getting our bulletin board in order, up and running, and there'll be more info there. At our meeting, we talked about possible projects and also where the congregation as a whole or individuals on their own can do good work. My goal is we truly become a social justice congregation where everyone is involved, though meeting attendance will not be required. Currently, we do collaborate and assist with other groups. Here's some that we're already currently working with, and I'll probably miss some, but we're working with LUCE, the Immigrant Justice Network, ECHO, Essex County Community Organization, which is working on immigrant work and fair housing, food pantries, meal making, Indivisible. In building again, I'm sure I forgot some. In our power, we should be aware of a tool used by the most powerful. It's called divide and conquer. A cartoon shown at a racial justice workshop I attended years ago captures its effectiveness. A wealthy white man is sitting at a table with a plate full of cookies. At the table are two others, a white working class man with a plate with a few cookies, and a black working class man with an empty plate. The wealthy man says to the other white man, "Watch out," pointing to the black man. "He is going to steal your cookies." A good strategy to divide the two working class men who have lots in common and could join forces. The wealthy white man successfully conquers those who could oppose him, keeping all the cookies on his plate. Help the voices that cannot be heard. Work together and take our fair share of cookies, representing perhaps access to safe housing, healthy, affordable food, good schools in all neighborhoods, voting rights, where we fight for the inherent worth and dignity for all. Other tools include deep listening and storytelling, seeing and beholding each other, and working across differences. Many social justice groups use this approach. A friend loaned me a book about a group, Hope for the Cities, founded in 1993 in Richmond, Virginia, the Confederate capital whose history includes large slave trading markets. Richmond is 50 miles down the river from Jamestown, where the first slaves landed in 1619. Hope in the Cities was founded to address the complicated past, and its founder, Rob Corcoran, wrote the book. Over 3 decades, his team built a diverse network, engaging all sectors and developing a nationally recognized model for dialogue, racial healing, and partnership building. The people of Richmond, indigenous descendants of enslaved people, and white folks learned, conversed, and started healing. In the early 1990s, Hope in the Cities held a very moving walk through history. The goal was to acknowledge history, open dialogue, and promote healing. One stop included a reenacted speech from 1775, ending with, "Give me liberty or give me death." Another stop was where there had been one of the largest slave markets. The story there was the wailing of an enslaved woman of 22 children, nearly all who had been taken and sold. Hope in the City became a model across the country for open conversation and of understanding the past to heal. I would argue A goal was to encourage the inherent worth and dignity of every person. The dialogue model, which connected personal and social change, led to the creation of the Community Trusting Fellowship in the U.S. and a trust-building program by the international group Initiatives of Change. Many people, from many walks of life, making change. I'd like to end with, again, words of the anthem or the introit. Now is the time for change. Lift up your voice. You will be heard. Now is the time for change. Thank you.
In lieu of a closing hymn in the hymnal, I'm going to teach you a protest song. This protest song has made its rounds in the last couple months with the things that are happening in our country, but it's existed long before that. It's called Hold On. I'm going to speak the lyrics to you once, just so you know what you're saying. Hold on, my dear ones, here comes the dawn. That's all it is. Hold on, my dear ones, here comes the dawn. Choose your own part, maybe. Hold on, my dear ones, here comes the dawn. Hold on, my dear ones, here comes the dawn.
Our closing words are Crazy Quilt by Jane Wilson Joyce. The Liberty Bell in Philadelphia is cracked. California is splitting off. There is no east or west, no rhyme, no reason to it. We are scattered. Lest we all be somewhere else, patch this work. Quilt us together, feather stitching piece by piece our tag ends of love and living our individual scraps of love.